presence, we forget everything. We don't remember ourselves. And that's the sign of the God-man. So, he would come and whenever he wanted to ask something or do something or tell us something and all that, so he would come and remind me when I am in his presence. That's how it is. His presence is so overwhelming that you are not and he is. Just physical presence, mind, is like that. And the sign, perfect masters are there, you feel the same way. That peace is there, profound peace you feel in the presence of perfect masters. But the difference between the perfect master and the God-man, I don't mean the God-man as the definition is now prevalent in India and in the West. What can I say? For them, word like saint and love, and it's all contaminated. Even God-man is all contaminated. There cannot be more than one God-man. It's the God that takes human form, time and again, once in a while, in 700 to 1400 years. It's that infinite consciousness that informs itself and presents itself in a human form, male human form. To make more tangible His being, His love, His mercy, His kindness. That entity, that forms is known as the God-man. I mean that. So this difference between the God-man and the perfect master, the perfect one is, in both, presence of both, you see, you find peace, profound peace and all that. But with the perfect master you are there, and well, you are one of the whole crowd and all that. You are as if you are the crowd. One in the crowd. But with him in his presence, each one is close to him, and each one feels that he pays special attention to the person. I will feel the same thing and you will feel the same thing. He looked at me all the time. I'm close to him. He makes us feel good in his presence. In the presence of the perfect masters and others, we feel ourselves so humbled and unworthy and lowly. In his presence, he makes us feel great. His one, his own. That's the difference. He'll take care. Did you eat? Where are you putting up? What are you doing? There are crowds of people, thousands of them there, but each one feels that the special and particular attention is only on me. That's the only difference between the perfect master and the God-man.
That's amazing. There was a line in the film last night.
What is that?
That none who came to him went away disappointed. That film Avatar. Yeah.
How do you feel about other God-men?
That's what I'm saying. Other God-man is just, Baba has given the definition as man becomes God. They are known as the perfect ones. And time and again, God becomes man, and he is the only God-man. Once in 1400 to 700 years, the descent of God in human form occurs. And he is the one and the only God-man. And he is, as he revealed to us, same ancient one that comes time and again in our midst. But then what happens, there are people, men of experiences on the path, spiritual statuses are there. So God-man term has been used so loosely and so vaguely that everybody is turned into a God-man and termed as a God-man. It's like that. Anybody is a saint. There are people, saintly people, but he's not a saint. Saint is he who sees me as I really am. Definition Baba gives. And that occurs on the sixth plane of involution of consciousness. to see me as I really am. All can be in the world saintly people. We are all saintly, no doubt about it. But we are not saints. And it is a continuous experience, not the glimmers or the glimpses of His beauty. Seeing Him is seeing the infinite beauty, that it implies. Seeing Him in what? In the form? No. That is His coat, that is the hood that He takes upon Him. It is the descent of reality into illusion. Just imagine that. If reality were to descend in illusion, what is going to happen to illusion? It's like light descending into total darkness. Can darkness stand the light? Can it ever? No. But then what happens? It has to happen. Reality has to descend into illusion. And take reality as infinite knowledge. Take illusion as infinite ignorance. Take reality as infinite light. Take illusion as infinite darkness. Anything that you want to compare. So it is the descent of reality into illusion. So what happens is reality has to have illusion to point out to its creation that this is illusion. This is illusion where you are. If illusion is destroyed, then what is the gain? There is nothing to be said. So illusion has to be. It has to be maintained and sustained by reality so that you can gain experience. Through illusion, through having experienced all facets of illusion, you come face reality. You come face to reality. So then, if illusion has to be sustained and maintained, the reality has to be cloaked. And that cloak, or that hood, or that mask that is put on, is of male human form, just as Jesus had put on. Just as Buddha, Siddhartha, as we call him, Krishna, Ram, Zoroaster, MeherBaba, like that. So, says, are they different? Baba asks. No, and it was I who. And the same ancient one come again in your midst. So he is known as God-man. God having become man. And the other perfect ones are known as man-God. Man having risen to the state of God. That's how it is. But we now loosely use the term God-man. How about the other God-man? How about the other God-man? There are no other God-man, really speaking.
And then how would you describe Sai Baba?
With Sai Baba? He was the man-God, Sai Baba of Shirdi.
Man-God is what?
Yes. Baba's own master. 5 of his masters, Sai Baba of Shirdi, was the man-God. Baba Jan was the man-God. Upasni Maharaj was man-God. He's the perfect one.
Which Sai Baba do you mean?
Well, I mean the one in the Koda party, the present one. The one who's alive. Yeah.
So,
No. She's talking about the
guy who makes
Sai Baba.
Satya Sai Baba,
Yes.
maybe on the spiritual levels and all that, but cannot be God-man.
God-man. Only man.
Man of God, you may call it.
Man of God.
Man of God.
Man of God.
Yeah, who tries to take people on the righteous path and all that. But if he becomes so presumptuous and he says that I am God in human form, beware of such personalities. Baba has himself told us about it. And he says that he is the incarnation of Sai Baba. Now that you bring in the subject, it is not possible. The goal and aim of life is terminated and culminated when man becomes God. There is nothing more. No reincarnations take place. The only exception to the rule is the God-man comes again and again in our midst in a human form. But once a man reaches the height of his being, that is his true self, there is no other purpose for him to reincarnate again. So the perfect masters who have been in our midst and have dropped their bodies, they can never reincarnate. That's what Baba told us. He may be telling this to you all, or it is just people around him make him that. But I don't know. I haven't met him. Because at that time, he was not, he had not come out like that, you see. But I remember this, at the time when Baba was physically present in our midst, there were many people, I may call it, or many men, who tried to impose their personalities upon human beings or believers, or you may call it believers. You call it that one would say, "I am Sai Baba of Shirdi, come again." Another would say that, "Oh, we have seen the crowds of thousands. Papers are replete with these information. You see, we used to read in the papers." And Baba would smile. Says, "We saw Sai Baba sitting there one moonlight night." And then somebody would say, "Well, he goes into a pit there afterwards," and all that. All these things did happen in the early years. And at that time, Sai Baba, the Satya Sai Baba was not in vogue at the time. You see. All of a sudden, he comes up that he is the incarnation of Sai Baba again. And those people have been put in the prison, you see. The ones who they used to dupe people, they used to impersonate themselves, dress themselves like Sai Baba, and all that came up in the paper. It was found out later on. But this person who calls himself Satya Sai Baba now, and he is doing good work, social work is there, a lot of schools and colleges and hostels are in his name, and industries have sprung up in his name, and all that's fine. And there is a lot of display, or there used to be umpteen displays of known as the spiritual powers that he would just take out shriveling from his mouth, and from his armpit he would bring out golden rings and would give watches, currency notes and all that sort of thing. So we had in India umpteen people who used to do that at the time also, prior to him. And there is no such importance given to these things for those who know. But for those who do not know it, then it's, "Oh, you must be the God-man. How can such things happen? He seems to be extraordinary in this sort of things." Nobody can do that, but it's not the miracles. These are not the miracles. Then he gave out a statement in the papers when there was terrible opposition to his demonstrating all this sort of thing and misleading the people into believing that he is somebody. So he says, "No, I don't do these things for my sake, but to lead them towards God." So if miracles can lead them towards God, they will always adhere to the miracles and not the man. Baba says that if you were to come to me through the miracles that may occur in your lifetime, in your association with me, then know that you are not coming to me. You are coming to me because of the miracles, not because of my love for you. Love is that force that will do anything. Then you can perform the miracles if you were to love him. The miracles are there. We are all surrounded by these things. Just as, don't you find these tumblers, here are tape recorders, and these are the miracles of modern ages, you see. So likewise, they are all there. On the path of the spiritual path, in the plains, you have these things. Just as you have mango trees, just as you have all these things, there are human beings, there are cattle and sheep and all that. On the gross plane, so also on subtle planes, there are these things, you see, which are tantalizing and supernatural things, because it is the supernatural plane. So you have got, their habitation is quite different, you see. So when you have a link with that, then you can, or if you are an occult, in the past you were yogi and all that. By the way, have you read God Speaks?
No.
So these things are there. At our beck and call, you can do anything if you want to, provided you get into it. But of what avail is this? It is of no avail. What he wants us is to face ourselves. When you are not, then you will realize what you already are, It is your mask that you have put on your true self that is coming in your way of your search. You are searching as Dorothy, but let Dorothy be not, and search is at an end. You see, that's how it is. It is the Dorothy that is coming in the way of the search. What you have to do is you be not with it. So that's why stop the search. Try to face yourself. Yeah. And humility is more important on the path than spiritual demonstrations. So, I'm sorry, we digressed. So once there was a person by name... No.
Amarsin Saigal also went to
Satya Sai Baba. What happened? I forget now. You tell what happened. You tell.
Perhaps that I remember. Amarsin Saigal, he was a member of parliament. One day he requested Baba, I want to see Satya Sai Baba. So Baba discouraged him, said, what you will do there, this and that, so many things. Then he said, all right, Baba. So after some time, Baba said, you are so anxious to go and see him. I wanted to, but if you don't want, then I won't go. Then Baba said, all right, now go there, only for once. And he went there. After some time, when he came back, so whatever he related to Baba, that I'm going to tell you. So it so happened, so many people used to go there for darshan. And generally it happens, people come, they take darshan, they take prasad, they go, the other batch comes and he also sits there for some time. Then the other batch also goes. So in this way, batches after batches were going. And he was giving prasad to everybody. But it so happened, that Satya Sai Baba was giving prasad to everybody, but always omitting this man. You are not giving this. Amarsin Saigal.
To the man who visited.
Yeah, who visited. And he was feeling bad. And the second batch also went, third batch also went. But he remained sitting there. After some time he said, Sardarji, you must be worrying that I am not giving prasad. Yeah, of course it is so. Then you have come from the ocean, why do you go after these streams? These were the words. And he gave him prasad, lot of prasad. Then send him away.
Why do you go after what?
You have come from the ocean, but why do you go after the streams?
Streams.
Satya Sai Baba said to the man who came to him that?
Then this Amarsin Saigal. These are the words of Amarsin Saigal related to Baba.
Where is that? Where is Phalu gone out?
Shall I get him?
Yeah, get him. So at the time of Baba, what had happened was there was one person by name John. What is the name?
John Back?
No.
From her.
The one who is in Pasadena? Page. John Page. He wrote a letter to. It was just in 1968, I believe. Baba passed away in 69, the 31st. I forget the date now, it was just nearing that date. So he asked this question to me. He wrote to me, knowing that correspondence was all closed to Baba now. Hello, can you get me that from the Western file, a letter that I had written to John Page regarding the perfect ones after they have realized their goal? Is it, well, yeah, whatever it is. Yeah. He asked me. Well, at the time there was no scope for me to read out the letter to Baba because correspondence is all closed. And how am I supposed to answer his question? What will I answer? I didn't know anything. So all of a sudden Baba tells me, he's seated here and says, is there any news, anything new that you want to tell or ask me anything? Is there anything new? That was the sign, new. I said, there's nothing new. What is it? Again, it reverts to the correspondence. There is no correspondence. That's all. It was in my mind. So he says, well, what is on your mind? What correspondence? So there is a letter that I have just received. It's to me, it's not to you. Oh, it's to you. Then you can read out to me. So I read out that letter. And what he replied, I replied to him. So I'll give you. It's based on that, Satya Sai Baba. He had inquired about it. He had just cropped up at the time. But these are the, really speaking, these are the schools where you learn. You need kindergarten in order to have a doctorate. Don't you need kindergarten? You need. Yeah, you need all these things. You have to go to primary school and then middle school, high school, college, then take a doctorate, and all these are things. And after you have become a doctor in literature or doctor in any branch or anything else, then you are on your own, you see. All these are necessary things. What is it?
That's the covering letter. That's the letter from John Page, and that's your response.
I see. What is the letter?
This is a letter dated.
Oh God, he wrote in 69, not 68. Yeah, what is it?
Shall I read John's letter?
Yeah. Otherwise, how will we know what?
Okay. September 15th, 1969. J. Barber, dearest Eruch.
Yeah, you wrote to me.
We have never corresponded before, and I would like to begin some correspondence, if it would be pleasing to you.
No, I don't like it.
Beloved's message is spreading like wildfire over here. Many people are interested, and our family keeps growing in strength of love and numbers. So many feel Baba's presence in them. Many people are also becoming interested in Satya Sai Baba. Could you tell us what Baba has said about him? I guess many people have to see miracles to come to God. Sai Baba is one of Baba's subtle agents, I guess, in a way we don't understand. Please tell us all you can about Sai Baba, in his infinite, unbounding love. Signed, John Page.
How am I to tell anything to this person, you see, for the first time is corresponding? Am I a master myself to know anything about it? I am helpless. So I just, in my helplessness, I keep quiet. So the friend finds a way, gets it out of my system. That's how he got out of my system.
I don't understand the date on this.
What is the date?
This says September 1569.
Yeah.
So we're after Baba.
September 22nd, 23rd.
Yeah, your reply is dated 23rd 9.
And what is this?
And this is September 15th, 69.
It's a week later.
Yeah. Formerly, the postal system was very quick, man. It's not like now,
My dear John, although I have stopped corresponding as I did before, your letter aglow with the warmth of your love for beloved Avatar Meher Baba happily compels me to reply to your queries regarding Satya Sai. Point 1. Satya Sai is not the only one who claims to be the incarnation of Sai Baba of Shirdi, the perfect master.
At that time it was just that. It began like that.
There have been half a dozen, or maybe more, in India who have put forth this claim. Some of them were convicted and put in jail for cheating the public. Point 2. Satya Sai is not the only one who claims to be also the Avatar. There are many others who have a larger following and who claim to be the Avatar. It seems there is a bumper crop of avatars, in brackets false prophets and messiahs, close brackets, during this avataric cycle. With the advent of Avatar Meher Baba, such a phenomenon was expected in the avataric cycle. Point 3. Beloved Baba said nothing in particular about Satya Sai, about his claims, about his so-called miracles, or about his being on the fourth plane. Point 4. However, Baba issued from time to time warnings to his lovers and reminders to his lovers to beware of false prophets, avatars, and impersonators who in the garb of guides were guiding humanity away from the goal. Baba often referred to impostors as wolves who sprang surprises on his innocent lambs and devoured them. Hence he warned his lovers from time to time to beware. One would do well to reread the booklets, Avatar Meher Baba's warning to his lovers and Avatar Meher Baba's reminder to his lovers. Point 5. Sai Baba of Shirdi was God realized and was one of the 5 perfect masters who brought about the advent of the Avatar in this avataric cycle. Once God realization is attained, the soul is forever freed from the rounds of births and deaths, i.e. from reincarnation. To be emancipated is to be eternally liberated, and for such a soul to reincarnate is impossible. Read God Speaks. See God Speaks. And there's a page number, page 163. Why should Sai Baba of Shirdi, the perfect master, need to reincarnate as such a Sai? It is not only absurd, but impossible. The purpose of life is to bring an end to the process of reincarnation. The goal of life is the end of the process of reincarnation, which brings realization of God, the self of all selves. To reincarnate after the attainment of God realization is ridiculous, for it defeats the very purpose and goal of life. Point 6. Only the Ancient One can and does reincarnate from time to time, as the Avatar, the Ancient One, in different avataric ages, to give a spiritual push to all his creation in general, and to ailing humanity in particular. Point 7. Such a Sai is not an agent of Avatar MeherBaba. It is so obvious, for such a Sai claims to be the Avatar. How can the agent of the Avatar claim to be the Avatar himself? Point 8. Not any miracles, but only constant wholehearted remembrance of God can take one to him, and only pure and unadulterated love for God can make one realize him. Point 9. So-called miracles can never be a means to make people come to God. They are utilized as a means to get together a crowd by one who performs these tricks. People then become attached to the tricks they are witnessing, rather than preparing themselves to come to God. Point 10. Anyone who masters the art of tantric tricks exhibits them to lure the crowds towards him, and unfortunately away from God. More is the pity when such a tantric genuinely feels that he uses his tantric power to help humanity to come to God. Even if such a tantric pours out a wagon full of tantric trinkets from under his armpit with a single sweep of his hand, the lovers of Avatar MeherBaba can never be affected, for they are firmly established in the love of God by the God-man himself. They are no longer children to get any satisfaction from playing with trinkets and dolls. They are now grown up and long for union with their divine beloved. Avatar MeherBaba Ki Jai. Much love, Eruch.
This was in 1969, just before Baba passed away. So I read out the letter, and the points that he gave were just this, and he said, these are all developed things. All that he said was that a perfect master is man-God, man having become God. The sole purpose and aim and goal of life has been attained and achieved. No more reincarnation. That's what he told me, without mentioning anybody in the name.
Also, Baba said that mukti relieves one from the round of birth and death as well, right?
Yeah.
And mukti is received if you take his name at the moment of going out?
Not necessarily. Its grace is there. Grace is there. The grace of the perfect master is there. Yeah. Not necessarily that if you take his name...
At the moment of going... No, he said specifically, if you take my name at the moment of leaving the body, you come to me eternally.
Yeah, that's true. He has said so. Here it is in my wishes. He has assured us.
So coming to me eternally means no more birth and death.
No. That is his divine assurance.
But that's not God realization. Mukti is different.
No, mukti is total liberation. And the experience is continuous experience of infinite bliss. That is the very nature of your being, as Baba says. Nature of God is bliss, infinite bliss.
Well, the difference of realization, then we say...
Realization is there you experience infinite bliss, infinite power, infinite knowledge and all that. So?
Just an intellectual distinction.
How about for us who don't want to experience infinite bliss?
Well, that's what all the lovers of the Lord truly implore the Lord.
They want infinite bliss?
No,
They don't want it.
nothing. What they want is Him. They have nothing to do with all that.
I mean, infinite bliss, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Good for you, Laurel. I'm with you.
Because we are so prone to misery and all that, infinite bliss seems to be blistering us, you see. No, but Laurel, those who have tasted the life with the God-man in its truest sense, and God-man in his being in our midst, means reality informed, what I am saying is. So those who have tasted the charm of life with him, they have no other tastes left other than to implore him to get them time and again when he is in our midst. That is their realization. Yeah. They don't want anything. They don't want to see his manifestation or witness his breaking of his silence or his glorification or anything else. You have no idea of life with the God-man. That's what I say. Yeah. It defeats all imagination, although it is all in imagination.
Whenever the question of people like Satya Sai Baba come up, I always feel that there's a tradition, there's a spiritual tradition and a spiritual hierarchy that's been given time and time again. And it seems to me that it's very obvious with a number of figures like that they break some of the basic points of that hierarchy or that tradition. Which I always find it's usually very obvious.
But why should we debate on these points? Because these are, Baba said that truth is infinite, isn't it? He has said so, because God is truth, and if we can conceive the inconceivable, if at all by some grace, what we'll come to the conclusion is truth is infinite. And He comes in our midst, you see, to make the unapproachable approachable. He with a stroke of His infinite compassion, He comes in our midst to make His being tangible, the unapproachable made approachable, the inconceivable made conceivable by His life with us. So He said with a stroke of His grace, say, that which you cannot conceive, you begin to conceive. What was I saying? What were you saying?
Why are we debating on this?
No, that had finished. That was the... What was it?
Truth is infinite.
Huh?
Truth is infinite.
Yes, truth is infinite. So we'll realize this much, that truth is infinite. There's no doubt about it. It's not just a thing that can be understood by a mind or grasped by a mind, because it is infinite. Mind is finite. Finite cannot grasp the infinite. It's fact. So truth is infinite. That's what He tells us, and that's what all those who have attained the truth they know. So, if truth is infinite, is there any room for anything else besides the truth? Is there any room? Otherwise it won't be infinite. You follow? So what are these things that we are debating about? Debating about facets of truth. It is not the truth, but it is that which will eventually lead us to truth. You follow? So all these are necessary things. All things. Darkness is necessary for you to realize the light. Had there not been any darkness, you wouldn't experience light. So all these things are necessary in the realm of illusion to give you further and further experiences, leading you towards infinite truth. So then what you say is right, what I say is right, what somebody else will say is right, all are nothing but debating on the subject of infinite truth. Each one cannot explain truth or cannot debate upon truth as a whole. So what they say is that they give parts and particles of truth. They debate on that.
It's like the diamond. The diamond of truth has many facets, each one a different spectrum.
Just like that. But that is not the truth. Truth is quite different, you see. The whole truth is quite... It's like apple. Baba gives us an example. A slice of apple is not an apple. It has the taste of apple, the fragrance of apple is there, but it's not the apple. It's just a slice of it. Like that. To criticize, to denounce, to speak adversely, it's not our business. We never know how he is functioning, through whom is he functioning and all that. But if anybody were to ask, will this lead us to truth? No, it won't lead to truth. This we can say. That's what he told us. If this will culminate our search, no, it won't do that. That we can say. We don't know who the person is and who that entity is and what it is and why is he doing that. It's all in the divine plan. Why is it? Didn't he love Peter? Jesus? You have studied something, isn't it, about Christianity? Are you a Christian or not?
I'm Jewish.
But you have heard about this, isn't it? That Peter denied Jesus 3 times. And you know that Peter was loved by Jesus, and Peter loved Jesus. And Jesus now is de jure the God-man, you see, of his time. Not de facto. We know now. There's no two things to be said about it. So, well, if he is the God-man, if he's God in human form, if Peter was his closest disciple, Peter loved Jesus, Jesus loved Peter, why? What was the need? Why did Peter deny him? Why did not the Lord bring about such circumstance that he wouldn't deny him? Why did he bring about circumstance that would make him deny? Unless there is a purpose behind it, isn't it? It's natural logic. Otherwise there's no sense in it. Why should Peter deny him? It had a greater purpose behind it, greater than his denial. Superficially it sounded to be absurd that the person who is so close to the Lord denies the Lord. But in his very denial, Jesus reinforced his love and faith and invigorated him into greater action towards spreading his message of love and truth. So he works in many multifarious ways. He worked that way in Peter.
Is it proper to say that Peter was Jesus' chargeman?
How am I to say? There are no chargemans for the God-man. There's no chargeman. He holds the charge supreme. There's nobody to succeed him unless he comes again to succeed himself. Nobody remains the chargeman. He is the eternal master, eternal perfect one, that is there. When he is in body, he is visible to us. When he is not in body, he is on his own. There's nobody to succeed him.
What about the saying, or is it authentic? It comes from the Gospels that Jesus said to Peter, I give you my key.
Yeah.
And what you do with it happens.
Yeah.
That seems to be handing over his key.
So what does it mean that he becomes the lord of the mansion?
No.
Then
It means that he is the chargeman.
Now the mayor also, you see.
He becomes the chargeman, though. He receives
hands
the key.
over the key. You see
Chargeman
that
gets
you
the powers.
get the key. You see to the freedom of the city by giving you the key. Does that mean that the city belongs to you, or that you have the freedom? You have to be free. You are the close one. He hands over the responsibility. Jesus doesn't hand himself over to him, but he hands over a responsibility to him by this symbolic representation of the key, you see.
Oh, I thought that's what becoming the chargeman of the master was.
Chargeman of the master can be, but not with God man.
With the God man, it's just he leaves charged man.
Yeah, he charges the man. He doesn't leave a charged man. That's right.
He opens the charge accounts.
Baba passed away. Really, many people came to extract from us the information that one of us is the chargeman. And they tempted us in such a way, you see, that no, you don't realize, we know that you are that and we know that. If you were to know more than I know, then it's no use my being a chargeman. Yeah. There is a fact, it's a fact. It's happened, it transpired in this very hall.
That's died down now.
Yeah, that has died down because totally we just refuse to believe them, anything saying that. Because what he told us, I said, yeah, if you want chargeman, you are the chargeman, here's the ant that is there crawling on the floor. I still remember the ants were crawling at the time. There were no carpets there. Here are the chargemen, and you are one of them, and I am one of them, and we all are his chargemen. Here, the one who holds his trust, he has trusted in us not to let him down. So if you do not let him down, you have his charge. Upholding him is one who upholds him is his chargeman. It's true. Anything else? Jesse. By the way, how is it that your name is Jesse? My name is Jessawala. And how are you, Jesse? How do you pronounce your name?
How do I pronounce it? Jesse.
Jesse. So I am Jessa.
You're Jessa.
Yeah. Yeah, I am Jessa. You know, my second name is Jessa.
What does Jessa mean?
I don't know myself. Ask him what Jesse is, then I'll tell you what Jessa is.
Great hero of the Old Testament, Jesse.
The hero of the Old Testament? Then I must be the hero of that hero. Jessa. Those who lend their ears, they also listen. My speaking out loudly is to listen to myself. It's good. It's good to listen. You know, this morning while I was having a walk, a thought struck me. You know, there are people who take soon after I come from a walk, I take a bath. You know, that's the routine. Not that I am, whatever it is, it helps me to take a little warm water bath, just gives me a pep, you see. Feels that the day has begun, you see. So when I take bath, I feel myself fresh. I feel that way. And then a thought occurred to me. Well, when you feel fresh, you scrub yourself, you make yourself clean, totally clean and all that. You don't go and dirty yourself throughout the day to get another bath the next day. Why do you take a bath again then? a thought came to me. What makes you take the bath again? Are you dirty? No, I'm not dirty, I'm very clean. Then why the hell do you take bath again? Is it a ritual? Maybe it is. That is also a ritual. Yeah. Even have that bath again and again is also a ritual. So, but then that makes you feel fresh and clean and clean. So wash yourself like that. But you haven't dirtied yourself, isn't it?
You have really. The body is constantly eliminating. There's a very fine film of elimination over the entire body.
But I'm not conscious of it.
But when it comes off, you're
then I
aware
feel
of
fresh, isn't it?
Yeah.
Although I'm not conscious of it. Oh, I see. Ah, yeah, that's a good explanation.
Ritual with me that itching is.
Oh, that's good.
Also, you know.
So then what happened? It led me to think again. Then we have prayed to the Lord, and that's enough. We beg for forgiveness, and we feel ourselves absolved, you see, and all that. I have sung a hymn to Him. I remembered Him. And I was fine. I feel myself absolved. Then what is it that time and again I have to go and do that? Is it a ritual? It again came to my mind. What is this? If our taking bath daily is not a ritual, although we are clean, we have absolved ourselves of all our dirt and all that and had a bath and all that and keep ourselves fresh. Suppose if I keep myself in a fine ventilated room, I don't toil or anything, and yet the next morning I must have a bath. You see. What is it? It's a ritual? No, it's not a ritual. But as you say that inadvertently we really ooze out something, you see, and we don't realize what's happening to us. Still, we find that, when we have taken a bath, we feel ourselves fresh, without knowing that we were dirty. So likewise, in time and again, when we approach the Lord, we have approached the Lord and we feel satisfied and comforted that we are absolved. And what the heck is that for you to again approach Him? Time and again. It's fine. We are very happy in His contact and communion and all that. But time and again. So time and again, although there is no need to approach Him, but after approaching we feel ourselves refreshed. So that means something is there, you see, that makes us go again and again and again and again. But there are people who say, well, what's the sense in this? These are people who are steeped in rituals and ceremonies and all that sort of thing. So for them, a thought occurred to me this morning. While I was talking to you all, mind was somewhere else. Yeah. So it is so logical. Only just as he said, we feel fresh, you see. If we are not dirty, then why do you want to take a bath? But we realize that after a bath we feel fresh. Because there must have been something that has been washed out. So also, time and again, repeatedly, going back and forth to hold on to His feet, again and again and again, is a renewal of refreshment. It's a regeneration, rebirth every time. So that's why it is necessary. It's not a ritual.
There's also something else that happens, that when you sleep, your vital energy goes very deep into the marrow of the bones. And when you awaken in the morning, the magnetic charge of water on the body brings it up to the surface.
Oh, okay.
And that awakens your consciousness.
Oh my God, this is another explanation.
It's the awakening.
And if you use cold water, you really experience
it. Yeah. No, but there must be, how will he know unless and until somebody has spent his lifetime in finding this out?
That's why we only wake up every third day at MeherBabaLibrary. The rest of the time
because they are not supposed to take bath every day.
So we never have such thoughts.
Huh?
We never have such thoughts as you have.
What such thoughts?
That is it a ritual or not?
You don't have, no?
Because when we take a bath, we have to.
You have to take a bath.
And there's no doubt about it.
I think we need to get a big magnet chamber for these poor folks out at MeherBab. So those other 2 days they can rush through that.
And you only have water every third day.
Is it true? I didn't hear that. What happens? Did you please say that?
Vital energy goes into the marrow. Vital energy comes from the marrow of the bone into the muscle, which is a reservoir for the energy.
Yeah.
And when you sleep, the vital energy goes into the very marrow.
Yeah, it returns to the source.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you awaken, of course, it's circulating, but the magnetic charge of water on the skin brings it to the surface very rapidly. So that among yogis, it's often a practice after a regular bath to take a cold bath. And to do, consciously to do the whole body with cold water. And this awakens you to another degree. It just brings the vital energy more to the surface where it can travel.
Cold water does more than warm water?
Yeah.
All that we heard was that it facilitates the circulation, you see, of the
It's
blood.
a simple way of saying it.
Yeah, simple. Yeah. But this is a yogic way of explaining it.
Well, are there some people that it goes quicker than, like without bath? Some people they wake up in the morning full of life, and some don't. Is there some scientific reason for that too?
I don't know.
But what must be happening with people who have cold, you see? What about their vital energy? If you were to take a bath in a cold water bath, you see, for
You'd
people...
never catch cold. You develop...
Those who are in the habit of taking cold water bath, they never catch cold.
When Adi was in the West, somebody asked him, should we take cold baths in the morning? Because I read in the God-Man that in the early days, Baba used to have everything a cold bath, and I wonder if there's something we should do spiritually. And this was in Albany, New York, where somebody asked Adi that, and he says, well, if you want to drop your body, it's probably a good thing to do. He said, when Baba had us do it, we were all in Bombay, and it was in the 90s already in the morning. That's to be taken into account.
No, but Ed, I can't take your word for it, you see, because I have been in the regions where there is no hot water for bath. The Ganges water is there. There is no bathroom there, except the ice-cold water of Ganges. And they take bath every day in the Ganges. And I've seen them with sniffles. What about that?
Last day,
Here's a Brahmin who is there. Huh?
Yeah. Was also left hot water.
Hot water.
He also used
Old man. Old man.
I've just seen them with sniffles.
Oh, sniffles. Oh, I didn't hear the word.
He says that if you take cold water bath, you don't catch cold.
No,
that's what I've seen. It's
It
difficult to
improves
catch.
the circulation, and sniffles are nothing more than an ailment of the circulatory system, right?
Yeah, that's true. But then it
So if you
improves
strengthen the circulatory, respiratory system,
and then you get
there's
good
less
sniffles.
chance of getting sniffles.
That's true.
If you take a hot water bath, you feel good when you're taking it, but you feel cold after. If you take a cold water bath, it hurts to take it, but you feel great after.
Yeah, that's true.
It's finally over.
That's what he's telling you. See. Where did you learn this? They teach you in seminaries and all that?
Not the seminary.
Then?
Another school.
Another school. Oh, I see.
But that isn't there.
He is an ex-priest.
Do they take cold
What
baths
about
at
you?
monasteries?
You people, you expect a Messiah, isn't it?
Messiah.
When? When is he going to come?
I don't know.
But you being a Jew, you must know it.
Well, I don't practice
You don't practice
Judaism.
You?
Me?
Huh?
What do I practice?
Huh?
Every day.
Everyday practice. But are you a Jew or a Christian or a Hindu or Muslim or who are you?
There's no religion.
No religion. Poor fellow. He's an orphan, you know.
To get the name Jesse, your parents must have practiced something.
Well, yes, they were originally Catholic converted Protestant.
Converted Protestant.
Spanish?
Spanish.
which is very seldom done in the Latin texts. It's one of those unusual situations. Yes, very. Which has left me with, I guess, the bringing up as a young kid as a very open type thing.
As an orphan now.
We're usually Catholic, a Catholic Protestant person.
Abraham was an avatar, right?
Yeah.
It says that we, in our culture, Judaic, Islamic, Christian culture, don't realize that Abraham was the Christ.
The Christ.
We heard, there was a lady who came to Baba, foreigner. She elderly person. In Pune it happened. So how did she come to Baba? She had no intention to come to Baba. But at the gate she found that in the compound there was a crowd. And the crowd looked happy. Happiness attracts. Misery doesn't attract. So she stopped over there and looked here and there. So some persons over there, yes, you want somebody, can enter, can go in. What's going on there? So, there is Meher Baba there. What is Meher Baba? So you go and see what it is there. She thought that it's something exhibited over there, you see. Some animal or something like that, or something. So she goes, gets into this long approach road. So as she enters closer and closer to the place called Guru Prasad, there are other people there now. So she says, what is it? She says, there's Meher Baba. What is that? He says, you don't know, you haven't heard of him? Oh, he's a man. He says, yeah. He says, come, go inside and see. Go there. So she goes inside, and when she goes inside, coincidence, otherwise what can we call it? Divine time, you may call it, a divine instant, a moment. So at that time Baba looked at her and he smiled and she smiled and she nodded. Baba says, sit down. So there she sat and Baba then again looked at others and all that. Something was going on, music was going on, some people were coming and going on. After a while he turned to her and he says, well, from where have you come? As I told you, he always takes care, wants to know. The all-knowing would always want to know. That's the trait of the all-knowing. So she says, but I don't know, I just saw the crowd over here and I was a bit curious and I came over here. So, but you have been living in Pune for a long time? She says, no, I am a tourist, a world tourist. I tour the world. Oh, you tour the world? For what? Yeah. For education or anything? No, just sightseeing. Baba is very happy. Sightseeing, you go out sightseeing? Yes, that's how I have been traveling. How long have you been traveling? 3 years. 3 years you have been going around the world sightseeing? Yes, I've seen all the places now. I'm in India. I've come here for sightseeing. This is very good. Of all the places, have you finished India tour? So yeah. I'm now going towards the south now. So on my way, I just came here to Pune and saw the crowd and came here. Baba says, good that you came here. So of all the places that you have visited in India or in the world, all the places you must have visited. You are still visiting, of course, but now that you have visited places, which is the best place that you have found? Sightseeing? Which is the one that you like most? So there is a silence. She is trying to decipher in her mind, to decide which is the best. So after about, those pin-drop silences. So after about, I think, to me it appeared to be about 5 minutes, but maybe 2-3 minutes or 4 minutes. This is, the Himalayan regions I like best. I said, yeah, they are really beautiful, they are good. They are very good, very scenic and all that. So you will continue with your sightseeing now? So, yeah. And after you finish it, how long will you take it? Another year or so it will be finished now. I have yet to visit Australia and other places, the Pacific Islands and all that. Oh. And after you have seen the whole world, do you think that your sightseeing will end there? No, it won't end. Because there are many, many sights to be seen, far greater than the earth. Then what will happen is, there will come a time, just as you have journeyed all over the surface of the earth, then you begin to journey within yourself. And there are vast spheres and many continents and many worlds to travel and see the beauty there. And that is more enchanting than all the beauty that you see on this earth. And after you have gone through all these, and you will realize that that which is within you is more enchanting than that which you had seen outside of you. And then there will come a time when you will come to a place where you see me enthroned, and then you will realize that that is the best that you have seen. In all your travels and in your sightseeing, the sight of me will put an end to all sightseeing. And that's when you find me in your heart as I really am. Then you won't take much time to find out when I were to ask you, which is the best place that you think of? Then you won't take much time to think about it, because the answer is prompt. There. Seeing him as he really is. That's the answer. That reminded me, you see, about